And even with all I do, I don't drink alcohol. I try to eat all organic as much as I can. Well, I went to a family party this weekend, did my very best to be particular with what I ate. There's 23 people in very close spaces. No one misses a party. So they're bringing all their flu viruses, the RSV, whatever virus you want to talk about is all just floating around. And I'm doing my best, washing my hands, taking my supplements. And I wake up with a pounding headache, gurgling in my stomach, constipation, bloated, and edema. And no, I didn't throw up. But I know my body, and I'm prone to E. coli, I'm prone to salmonella. But what I did is I contacted my mentor who uses the SKIO machine to scan my body to see what's going on, because there's no way I was going to be able to work on Monday with feeling the way I did. And yes, my immune system was down. I contracted some sort of virus, flu-like, but what then happened was just eating a little bit off of my normal pattern, because I can't say no to cake. I'm sorry, I can't. And I had food poisoning. So I had a flu virus, suppressed immune system, and then those bacteria just took over and took advantage of my body. The good news is that with your supplements, Karan, and with my supplements, the combination, the accelerated detox powder, this accelerated silver, and the mega pre, mega mucosa, mega spore, HU58, I threw everything at it. I was back up and running on Monday. So 24 hours, all of that was gone. But that brings us to the importance of the gut when it comes to the immune system. And you hear that 80% of your immune system is in the gut. Can you describe what that means?
Yeah, well, and I'm glad to hear that you bounce yourself back so quickly. That's amazing. And we'll talk about this. Even though you don't feel the symptoms, the fight is still happening right now in your system. It's just shifted the phase of the fight, right? And we'll talk about what those different phases are. And it's great to get away from the symptomatic part of it. Part of the issue that we have with our immune system is when you stay in the symptomatic part of it too long, it actually starts to dismantle and harm the body even more. But let's talk about the question. 80% or so of your immune system is in your gut. What that actually means is that 80% of the immune tissue in your body is found in your gut. You've got a lot of immune tissue throughout the body that samples things, right? And the sampling is really important because that's how your immune system kind of understands what surrounds you, right? So what is in your environment? What's coming into the body? What are you breathing in? What are you eating? What are you drinking? And then it tries to learn whether or not those things require an immune response. Almost everything that you encounter throughout the day will end up being exposed to your immune system in one way or the other. Almost anything, right? And so let's take, for example, everything you breathe in, right? So you're walking through, you're breathing in all of these viruses, bacteria, fungi, toxins, all of this stuff. Inevitably, you're breathing all of that in. So most of that will go into your respiratory tract. Your respiratory tract, including your sinuses and all that, have mucus. Which is a wonderful thing, right? And most of your respiratory tract has these little cilia, these little hair-like structures. So what happens is the mucus traps all of those things that you're breathing in, the bacteria, viruses, toxins, and so on. And the little cilia drive that mucus up out of your lungs, your sinuses drain, all of that, even your ears drain all into the back of your throat. So imagine everything is you're breathing into your lungs gets pushed up into your throat, everything from your sinuses and all that go in through your nasal passage, ends up getting trapped in mucus and drains back into your throat. Everything's designed to drain into your throat because your body wants you to swallow it. When you swallow it, it's covered in all these immunoglobulins and all that, and it sends all of that, all of those compounds towards the sampling tissue that's found in your gut. And this is how your immune system learns what your environment looks like. Right? Because we don't have any outward facing component of our immune system. We don't have immune sampling tissue on our epidermis or on our scalp or areas like that. So the only way your immune system starts to learn the environment is by things entering into your gut. And of course, you eat and drink stuff, microbes and all that are coming in that way. Even when things go through your skin, they're stopped at the epidermal layer. But if your skin is leaky, it's going to make its way through, and it's going to end up getting trapped by the immune system in the bottom part of the epidermal layer, right? So your body is designed for the immune system to encounter things that you get exposed to, and the biggest area of that encountering happens in the gut. So you have all of the sampling tissue in the gut where your immune system is constantly examining what's coming through and trying to figure out what it should attack and what it shouldn't attack.
So then there's this communication between the gut and the immune system. So where does this go wrong?
Yeah. So that communication, let's focus on that for a moment, right? So think of your immune system as a military that has all of the equipment, has all the soldiers, tanks, and missiles, and all that stuff. So it's got everything it needs to defend the area, but it has no general and it has no plans. It has no intelligence, meaning it doesn't even know what the enemy looks like. Right. So it has the capability, but it doesn't have the understanding of the environment to know what is friend or what is foe. And also keep in mind that the primary thing your immune system is often going after are microbes, right? So viruses, bacteria, fungus, and so on, all these things that can make you sick. All the while, in your body, you've got even more microbes than human cells, right? So the immune system is working in the context of microbes, meaning that it is trying to identify microbes that are harmful in an environment that is full of microbes, right? So the analogy I give to people is it's about a 200,000 to 1 ratio of immune cells to microbes in your system, right? So imagine you're at an outdoor concert and it's in a given stadium, and there's 200,000 people in that stadium, and you are the lone security guard that is supposed to keep the peace and make everyone safe in that space, right? And maybe you've heard that there's a rumor that there's 2 or 3 people among that 200,000 that have ill intent for the rest of the people, right? But they look exactly like everyone else. So how would you ever find them if you're trying to police 200,000 people? The only way you could do it is if the other 199,998 people were also on your side. They were all wired into you. And the moment any one of them saw something wrong, they would walkie-talkie over to you, tell you exactly what they saw and where it is, right? That's the only way it would happen. And that's exactly what happens in the body. The microbes, the microbiome in your gut that covers all of that immune tissue we just talked about, are the eyes and the ears of the immune system. It's the microbes, not only in the gut, but throughout the rest of the body as well, that are the first responders when something new comes in that doesn't belong in that ecosystem. And it is the microbes that teach the immune system what is friend and what is foe. It's your commensal microbes that alert the immune system to the presence of a dangerous microbe, a virus, a bacteria, whatever it may be. And if you don't have the right set of microbes within your microbiome, you don't have enough commensals, they're not going to provide that intelligence to your immune system. And thereby your immune system becomes slow to respond to the threat, right? We saw this in COVID, for example. And another analogy there is like, imagine your microbes are your neighborhood watch, right? And they're always keeping an eye for things that may seem wrong. And when they see something wrong, they alert the police, in this case, the immune system, to the area. Now, if that neighborhood is full of egregious or dysfunctional individuals, they're not going to want the attention of the police in that area. So even if they see something wrong, they're not going to call the authorities, right? And that's the case if you have too many pathogens in your system or opportunistic pathogens in your system. They actually don't want to alert the immune system to that area, because they themselves may get attacked by the immune system. So we saw this in COVID, and this is beautiful work done by a researcher at University College Cork called Liam Mahoney. he was able to characterize what the microbiome looks like of those individuals that had the worst response to COVID and who had hospitalization and death, and long haulers. He could predict whether someone was going to develop hospitalization, death, or long haul from COVID just by looking at their microbiome without looking at anything else, right? It was this component of the microbiome called the pathobiomes. If they had a high level of pathogens compared to all the beneficial commensal organisms, then you know that when the virus comes in and attacks, these organisms, these pathobiomes, aren't going to alert the immune system. It's a 200,000 to 1 ratio. So it takes a while for the immune system to accidentally run into this infection, right? Without the neighboring microbes alerting it. So then the virus comes in, it has lots of time to create an infection and multiply its numbers and all that before the immune system ever detects it. So what did we see, for example, in COVID in these individuals that had dysfunctional microbiomes is they'd get exposed to the virus. There'd be this long incubation period of like 10 to 14 days, right? Remember, sometimes it took 2 weeks for symptoms to start in COVID, right? And so that's why they were doing all this quarantining and all that stuff for 2 weeks. So you get exposed to the virus. The virus has upwards of 2 weeks to multiply its numbers so significantly because the neighboring microbes aren't alerting the immune system to that area. And then when the immune system finally comes there and sees it, the viral load is so high that the immune system goes crazy and elicits this massive innate immune response, which is very inflammatory and releases a lot of inflammatory cytokines. And those people ended up going into what people call the cytokine storm, right? So the response of the immune system was really high because the immune system was now panicked that the host is going to be in trouble because of the amount of virus that was actually there. And often it was the immune response that damaged the tissues, like in the case of COVID in the lungs and so on, that ended up killing the individual rather than the virus itself, right? So that is the biggest problem with immune function. It's, you could take your vitamin C and zinc and all those things are wonderful. They'll help your immune system function when it's functioning, but the immune system would cease to function if you don't have a healthy microbiome communicating and supporting it.